Okay, good morning. Well, thank you for joining this rescheduled class. Today is May the 5th and CS 116 class. Can everybody see my screen at this moment?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And so today I want to go over some more of MySQL and specifically also the lab. And but before we do that, I want to make sure we understand the current schedules. And today is May the 5th, as I mentioned. It's a reschedule the class. And so for those, many of you cannot join, that's fine. I'm recording it. And so the key things is for the lab 10, which is due on May 14th. That means you still have a little bit over close by 2 weeks, I mean, a week and a half to finishing it. And so you must finish by then. So hopefully by then, many of you already have and got it the sense working in a sense the sample program I give and already start doing some of the work. And so as I was looking at it, some of the student may have a particular issues, and on let me just put it here, and on the section number 4 and 4 and 5. And so I'm gonna modify a little bit and so make life easier for you because in the databases, we're using one UPC as a key. And so in my instruction, I wasn't clear enough and to get it, ask you to input the key. And so if you already figured out, that's great. If you hasn't, I'm gonna just update the assignment so that it's easier for you to figure it out, and also update the wine list. One's insert, one is update. The reason for that is in our design, and if you go back to here, right? So as I mentioned before, so here we have one UPC, which we use as a primary key. And then whenever you insert a new record into this one info, and this one UPC cannot be empty. And not only cannot be empty, it has to be a unique, because all key must be unique. So if you insert a one, for example, in the example of number 4, doing your testing, you're inserting multiple times, the sense will fail, because the first time you did it, the key is unique, doesn't exist. Second time, you have a duplicate key. So that is the reason when you inserting it, and I'm gonna go over today, and you have to give a key as well, right? So let's go to number 4, right? So you have to go ask user to input one UPC number, which should be a unique number, because then every time you're inserting it, you're inserting something unique. And in the old program, I forgot to put the one UPC there, and some of you figured it out, but just in case you haven't figured out, I'm gonna update it. And then for retrieving it, and instead of in the old one, I said retrieving based on the name. If you already implement this, I'm fine. But if you haven't, I prefer you doing this way, because you want to insert based on UPC, which is the key, and this method will update everything. So everything there is a match, which is not correct, because Opus, for example, they have many different kind of wines with a different price, and the best way of doing it is using the one UPC code, which is every product has its own key, and that it's being used as a unique number for every record. Okay, and so then any questions on what I just talked about? Okay. So then what I want to do is go over some more, right? So the program that you're writing, right, for this one, and it looked like, you need this, actually, let me run different programs. And so this one, I just modified. So, and this, you already have this. This is the one that I gave it to you. And I modified it to add this, right? And let me go to another one, which is has all the features, right? So for example, right, your program should look like this, okay? And you have a menu-driven programs, right? Display one between two scores, display one between two price, and that is similar, right? And similar to the things I talked about here. And it has to be a user-driven menu, right? With each options, which each test cases as well, right? And so then the program look like this when you try to running it. So I say, okay, let's display the wine price, right? So you display the wine price, and then you say, okay, what is the first score you want to use between 0 to 100? And in the requirement, I also said you need to do validations, right? And for example, I say 99, okay? So you're entering a 99, it should give you an error message, right? So I say, okay, 99, right? They said, no, you cannot do that. Please enter a score between 0 to 100, right? And then I say, oh, okay, yeah, okay, let me give it 120. I said, no, you cannot do that, right? So your program must do the error checking as well. So it's, oh, okay, oh, I see. Oh, it's between 1 to 100, right? It's has to be a number. I said, fine, let me give 96, right? And the next one, now it's a second score, right? And it's the same thing. If you do number 10, right? And it should still give you an error, right? So you say, okay, my second number is 98, right? So once you've done that, right? And then your program will print out, something like this, right? And everything has to be nicely formatted, right? So you can use the sample example I gave it to you. And you have this name, right? The price, rating, price, everything is like that. Another sense is you must tell me, right? And as the sense say here, and total number of wine between the selected range, average price for the selected wine, total number of red wine, white wine, and the average price, right? And so if that's the case, right, I got total number of wine, we return it to 12, average price, that's the price, rating is this, and number of red, right? And so we say we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, now we have 8 red wines. Average price for the 8 red wines, you average the price, divide by 8. That's what you get, and score, right? Same thing for white, right? So that is your program. Look like that. Once you finish it, right, you go back to the user menu, right? User menu, and so now we finish the number 1 menu, display between the scores, and then you have the things display all the wine has a price between X and Y, right? Between X and Y. So okay, it's a similar thing. Now it's more of how do I construct a select statement, right? A SQL statement that will get the the sense between the price, right? And so then what you should do is you say, okay, let's do number 2, right? And so you should also do the same thing, right? And it's a similar one as the previous one. So if you wrote a function, you can easily use over here to double check, right? Invalid a price. Okay, let's just say I want I think I use a test case of 100. Okay, I want a wine, the minimum price is 100 and between 200, right? And then, all the wine is being done that. So now let's take a look at it, right? And so I said, okay, we want to select, the wine between 100, to 200, right? And so then I just, see what is the SQL statement. And so the SQL statement, so it's a select, okay? And since I only used, let me see, what do I use, right? And in this one, right, I used the wine name, vintage, rating, right? And that's what I used, right? And so then I can either do that or I do a star. It doesn't really matter. That just makes sense simpler, okay? And so let's just do this. And let's just do a star, okay? And from, right? And from where, right? So as we talk about it, you have to say from which table, right? And so wine info. And then you say, okay, I want to select the price, right? 100 to 200. Okay, select from wine info. Then you say where, right? Where, and I said price between 100 to 200. Okay, here's the price, right? Where price, okay, greater than equal to 100. Then I say I want everything between 100 and 200, and you use and price less than equal to 100. Sorry, 200, right? And then you have all those things being selected, right? And so in the requirement, and so then I say also sorted by the price with the highest price list first, and then highest score will be printed. Okay, so it had two sort. One is by price, one is by the score, right? And so let me enlarge this window so it's easier for you to see it. Okay. Okay, so now I said I also want you to sort by the price, right? So you can see some of the prices on the top. And then I also want you to sort by the score as well. And so we just need to modify this. Does anybody remember what should I do here? Anybody? Ordered, okay, by price. Okay, let's just use this for a moment. So now order by the price. You say, oh, it's assorted, right? But then my requirement is sorted by with the highest price first. The highest price as the end. What should I do? It's a descending. So DSC, voila, right? So now you have that. So then I also said, I also want you sort, and for example, this is a perfect example, this two. So this one has the same price, but different ratings, right? And I also said, not only I want you to sort by price, I also want you to sort by ratings as well. and also the highest reading first, right? So then you say it's ordered by price descending. Anybody? What should I type here? Okay. So as you can see, this one being swapped, right? So here, 125, now 97 is on the top. Okay, 125, 95 is on the bottom, right? So that is the SQL statement, right? So this is the SQL statement you need to place in your code to generate this output, right? And so how do you place this SQL statement, in your code, right? And I have a tiny little example here, right? So this is the sample code, and I say while selection not equal to 6, here I have total 6, right? And so I just doing the manuals, I check the validations, right? And then I say, okay, how do I construct a statement here? So constructor statement has two parts, right? First of all, I'm asking the users, in this case, to give me and the wine price, right, between some 100 and 200. And how am I going to put that into a statement? I don't know how many of you ever use the streams, okay? And in order to use the streams, okay, and so you have to import and this in your code, which I don't believe is in my example file, okay? And so you have to use this, right? Include that in your program, and then you can start using streams. So you can use this, right? And so what this one does is it just this is a data type called streams. SS just a string is a variable. So as you can see here, what does this format look like? Anybody? What does it look like? Thank you, Kyle. It looked like a cout. Well, you guys already know how to use a cout to print out everything. So then you can use this to print out a statement and with all the variables, right? I use this example of the top 10, right? I think that's number 3. And so what's number 3, right? Number 3 is display top 10 wines, okay? And so I use that as an example. I just, put a 10 there so I can demonstrate. Well, so then you say SS, you can select, okay? And then order by, then you can just using this limit. It's pretty much just like anything you want to write. It's like cout. Then I say top, which is this, right? So now you have SS, of part of the streams. So then I say, okay, I also want to print out the statement here, right? And so what you do is you can just using this, right, and assign to it, right, and right, so you can just assigning to it. So what it does is you say, okay, SS.string. So this now is look like it's a class object, right? So string is a function. What it does is just return the actual string to this variables. Then I print it out, and then here, right? So that's where you do your right. That's where you do your calling the queries. But in SQL here, if we go back to the example of DB Connect, okay? So this one, right, is using a character pointers, okay? Character pointers. And how am I going to, because if I just passing, so if I just passing the statement there, right? And so if I just passing the statement, it will give me arrows, okay? It will give me arrows, right? Because it's not a pointer, right? Right. And if I just do this, right? Some of the students just did this way, and then you're gonna say, for example, they say, oh, since it's a character string, can I just do that, right? Well, let's see. Let's see, maybe it works. Let's see, okay? I always use other way. So let's see, does that works, right? They say, no, it cannot do that. So this is a string, that's a character pointer. So it's a run data type. You say, gosh, how am I doing that, right? Now, obviously doing this will not work, right? And, so if I just passing SS, I don't think that will work either, and because it's a run data type, right? And so let's just see that works or not. Probably doesn't. Now this is where some of the people have difficulties. Let me see whether I can convert that. That you cannot, because SS is a class object, right? So the only way to do that, right? And this is a shortcut, right? Without you getting so frustrated, it's by converting the statement. Statement is a string, and string is also a class object, and they have one called .c underscore. The underscore didn't show here. Okay, so there is an underscore here. Okay, and so if you're looking in the chat window, that is the correct with underscore, right? So you convert that into a C string. So that pretty much just converted over, and C string is using character pointers. That's what it does. So I convert that to pointers, and now everything is okay, right? So now if I want to try to compiling it, right? And since compile, right? So now let me try to run the things, right? And so this is a different program. So let me go to the other directory, and I just did that, right? So that's a .y, right? So this one is I converted using the example I gave, so which still has everything on the top, right? And so then I say, okay, I want to do number 3, right? And right, so number 3 is the one we just did, right? And so I said, select blah blah blah, right? We did all this. Let's see. Select from one info order by price, descend limit to 10. That's what we did. So if I change this to 20, right? And since I hard coded, I have a recompile, right? And so to make that flexible, maybe you can just ask the user is, how many one you want to display, right? You could do that. And so now we do number 3. So now it's 20, right? So now you have a 21 being displayed, right? And so that is how you're doing it. Construct the SQL statement, okay, and passing into this MS SQL perform query, because it's a character pointers, and so you want to make sure you convert it, right, using streams, right? String, as I mentioned earlier. This is just the same as a cout. Everybody know how to use a cout. So now you can just constructing it, and after that, you change the assign the string from this cout or ss here into string, and then you're passing using c dot things, right? So in the chat window, you may just want to copy those things over. Just save that into your code, right? Just copy it over, because once the session ends, you cannot copy it. And so put in your code, right? And then add the things over here, right? And and modify your programs. And then, of course, the headings, everything, I already have that things for you. And another thing you may run into a problem, because sometimes you may get, for example, let me get rid of this one, okay? And because in the past, some student had an issue. Okay, let me get rid of that one, okay? So in case when you're running the programs, and depends on how you handle the file, the database pointers. And so you may have a little different issues. So let's do this, okay? And I don't know, did I recompile it? I recompiled it. I guess I guess everything was okay. And so what happened is, if you do get this one is okay. If you're getting some kind of error saying the sense is out of sequencing, right? Okay, let me just move this one to someplace else to force the error. And let me put into, let me put it right here. I think this should cause error. I'm trying to create an error so that in case you're getting this kind of error, you know how to fix it. Okay, let's see whether give me error. Okay, got it. So when you run your things, if you get this kind of errors, that means it's the sense is out of sequencing. Okay, and so the best way of doing it, right? And so is using. Let me see, that works over here. Using this. Let me use this. Let me see. Oh, sorry. Oops. Yeah, I'm just put it here so you can see it. Okay. Okay. Let's see whether the arrow goes away. Okay. Now I can explain. And so now I have a different kind of arrow, because when I said I reset it, and and then because I was using the database somewhere, and that caused an error. But what my SQL free result means is you're gonna get rid of everything, and you start a new one. Okay. If you're getting that kind of error message, you can just use that, because I've somewhat got rid of the the result, and that is the reason I have a segmentation fault, because I'm gonna start using the things right here. So I start using here, of course I'm gonna have errors. Okay, and so if you run into out of sequencing, just add this. Okay, and add this. And what this one does is it will just get rid of anything in the result section of it, and then when you're running a new one, and then everything is fine. Okay, and you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this if you manage your things correctly. But if you start getting out of the sequencing, that is something you could do. Okay, and so now, right, everything is back to normal, right, and so you can start selecting it, right, and so the key things for this one is using string strings, right, to to construct the SQL statement, and then you convert the string into a string, right, using this statement here, and then when you're passing on to my SQL performance query, you're passing a character pointers and use a C_strings to solve the problem. Okay, so once you have that, right, you can just start printing the things out. And I even have a print info here, and just print things out, right? So I'll pass the result back into print one info. You can do that. And so here is a print one info. which you go through every single row or every single each field, right? And so this is where you have to make sure the field number 2, right, is the score, then the price, right? I have all the kind of things, and then I start to keep track of the overall. See here, because I want to count, how many are there, and then I print it out, right? The things out, right? Then I count on the average, right? I want to make sure I don't divide by 0, right? And so that's how I print it out. So you have to make sure you don't divide by 0, okay? Because when you say average price, right? And what happens if a number of red wine is returned is 0, then you divide by 0, right? Then your program will crash, right? And so then let's go back to the other one, right? The other one, which is fully implemented. And right, so this one is fully implemented. Your program should look like this, right? And we demonstrated first one, second one, and third one, right? The third one we just finished, we did, right? And then you point it out, right? And then insert a new one, right? Insert a new one. And so for example, I insert a new one, it asks me the wine name, let's just say Opus, right? And then vintage, let's just say 1980, right? And score, let's just say it's 99, right? Price is 399. Actually, Opus is a very expensive wine. And let's just say it's red, okay? So you insert it in there, then I print it out, right? I print it out. So if we go back to here, right? And I should just do this, yeah. And the wine name equal to Opus, okay? Right? So then I hard coded 9999, but as I mentioned, in your sense, right? If you have not figured it out, right? And you should ask the user to enter in one UPC because that's a unique number, right? And for example, if I run this program again, right? Let's run this again, right? So let's do number 4, okay? And let's just say I want to use run SHA because now since I hard coded 999, right? I'm gonna have issue. I just want to demonstrate this issue to you, right? And it doesn't matter, right? Right now your program say duplicate entry 999 for key, right? And so this is where I was talking about earlier. And so this is the key in the database. So it's a primary key and you do not allow duplicate. So I try to insert something with the key already there. So that is the reason in your program, you need to ask for one UPC or give a unique UPC number. UPC is a universal product code, so if you see a little barcode on any kind of product, that is what UPC. Any product in the world, if they follow ISO standards, they actually apply, they apply a UPC code. So what they do is the first 4 digits or 5 digits, I don't know how many, belong to a particular company, and then you add your own numbers after that, right? So that one there's they're gonna make sure every barcode is unique. That's the reason you go to checkout stand, they just scan the barcode because every single product is unique. Okay. So then because I have this, right, and so insert will have a problem. unless you ask for, give a new numbers, right? And so so the insert will have a problem. You see here, I hard coded. I should not have a hard code. I'm just lazy now, right? So you should just ask a user for the the things. For example, if I change this to some other numbers, then it's okay. Now, other things you could do is gosh, I'll keep testing it, right? And I want to use the same keys. Well, then you have to delete this row. You have to delete this, okay? And so if I have to deleting it, right? I think I have one here, and so then you have the delete, say delete, right, as a command, right? And from a table, right, where YMPC equal to that. So right, if I do that, right, then the things are deleted. And if I try to select again, of course, it's no longer there. And if I run the program now again, well, you should run, right? Because I deleted the things, right? And so and the price, let's just say $99.99, right? And let's just say this is white, right? And then of course now it turned it out, right? And if I go back here, right? And so this opus is no longer there because I didn't insert in it. And then I can say war y name equal to what did I get? And, I'll give it one shot. Okay. Right. So you can selecting it, right? And or the other things you can also do, right? And or wine name, we also talk about it, like. Okay. And so if I want to find all the wine that start with R, you do a while, the regular expressions. And now you find all the wine that start with R, right? You see the wine name like that, right? And so, or you can just, we can get rid of this one, right? And you can also say, well, I want to find I want to find all the wine, and let's do an and, okay? And wine name like, and anything, it will match anything. R, okay, we'll have to do this, R, and this, and I think it's S, and end with S. Okay, let's see. No, it did not. So because it did not satisfy this one, and because I have this, and let's do an or so you can get it. Right. So so you can use the regular expressions for many different things. So now if I want to insert again, it will have issues because this, I hard coded. So you have to ask users to give you one UPC, right? One UPC. Now, how do you inserting it, right? How do you inserting it? So let's take a look at how you're inserting it, right? And so you can also we use the string stream, but you can also using just regular string additions. So either way is fine. So this is a different approach, and so I like the string stream because it's easier. We understand that, right? And so then and let me just do this. Okay, see out. And so you know how the things look like, right? Okay, I just added something there. Okay. Okay. So now let's exit here. And let's run this thing again. Let's do a 4, right? Let's do a opus, and it probably shouldn't work. It shouldn't work because I don't believe I deleted other ones. And okay, yeah, it didn't work, right? But here is the syntax. So insert wine, right? Opus. So you see here. So when what you need to do is you also need to ask a person for UPC, and then you add UPC here, right? That's what you should do, right? And I leave that to you, right? For example, here is the SQL statement, right? Then you go back to here is our test environment, right? So that's not adding yet. And so let's do this, right? Let's describe why info. Oh. Okay. You see the why info has all those fields, okay? And so then to insert, right? And so let's hide this one so you can see better. To insert, right? You here is the command insert into where why info, right? And then you say values, right? And then values is we did the wine name, right? So that's wine name, the first one. The second one is vintage. The third one is ratings, right? The fourth one is price. And the fifth one is wine type. The wine locations, you can just hard code it, that doesn't matter. So why UPC is the things I said you need to give a unique, you can ask user to entering it. Since this one already there, right? You will give the kind of arrows, right? Similar to the one we got from here, duplicated entries, right? It's the same thing, right? Duplicated entry, you got the same arrow, right? And so if you give the unique number, just say it's we add 1 to it, right? So now it's unique, and now the sense will work, right? So then you can just, let's take a look, and then both of them are there now, right? And you can select, right, from, and wine info, where, right, and name, and like, just do a like now, and find all the opus, okay? And it's wine name, that's the, right? So now you see both of them are there, right? Now it's all has a different keys, all kind of things, right? And so if the the same thing, it just now if I do another one, so it should not allow me to do that, right? Because now I have a duplicated entries, right? And so that is the how you do insert, right? And then other things is how to update, right? How to update the things as well, right? So that is how do you do update, right? And so then you have to figure out how to do update. So since I have I want to just show you a little bit, right? How to do an update, right? So then you have update, right? That is really the command, update something, you set something, right? So let's just say we do an update, right? And so update, right? And so let's take a look at the requirement, right? So update is, I want to update the one you just inserted, right, with a new price. And you can either use a name or using the UPC code, right? And either way is fine. So let's just say we want to update this guy, right? And make the price to, you know, 350 or 399, right? So you say update and update wine info, right? And this is set, right? And the price equal to where, and where wine UPC equal to 99991, right? Oops. Right, so this is the price change, right? And you can also use update wherever the condition you want to use, right? You can use, you know, Opus, but if you're using wildcard, right, and you may update others price as well. So that's the reason you always want to use the wine UPC, the code, right? Because that is a unique key, right? And so that's how you're doing your update, right? And so once you've done that, you know, you're pretty much done your lab. So I think the key things today I talked about it is more of how you going to construct the SQL statement itself and passing on to this function, right? So you can use a string, or you can just using the regular string, then do a plus, right? Then you figure it out, right? And then the key thing is you have to use this, okay? And dot C string, pointer characters. And any questions so far? Okay, so that is the database side of it, right? So by now, if nothing else, right, you should already, if you have not started, you definitely now has everything. You should, download, right, and the sample I give it to you, and follow the instructions, and then start modifying the code, so that you can finishing up this lab. Okay, so next week. And next week, it will be our last session. And I believe next week's our last session, yeah. So next week, and I'm gonna go over, right, also some more advanced, some other topics called exceptional handling, right? And how do we handle exceptions? You know, for example, earlier when I was running some of the programs, right, I got an error message and there are certain error being printed out, and where I divide by 0, right, there's a different way of handling those error exceptions. We're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to talk about the final exam, what is on the final exam. And here is the schedule for our final exam, which is on the May the 19th. And which is Wednesday, okay, between 8 to 10. Okay, any question from anybody? Okay, if not, you guys have a great week. And so this recording should be available fairly soon, and then you can watching the recordings and then start follow doing your lab based on some of the things I talked about today. And so I'm gonna stay on a little bit longer in case anybody has additional questions.